Assalamu alaikum. So, my dear first year students, how are you? Hope that you are well. I am also fine by the grace of Allah. I would like to discuss with you another poem that is called How Do I Love Thee? This is the lecture number 5. Here you can find that this is the lecture number 5. How Do I Love Thee? It's another important sonnet written by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. This is very much important for your exam. Dear students, you know that already I delivered 4 lecture. Those poems are very much important for your exam, coming exam. So I have taken the lectures on selected poems. So this is one of the most important poem, which is very much important for your coming exam, first year exam. So dear students, after reading this poem, inshallah, you will be understand the poem very easily and you will be able to answer the following questions. The questions are very important. This question is very much important for this poem. What is sonnet? Show that how do I love thee is a sonnet. And another important question is that comment on the intensity of passion expressed in the poem. Comment on the intensity of passion of love expressed in the poem, how the poet express the intensity of her love. This is the another important question. So let start the poem, reading the poem, and then I will discuss with you about the question. So the name of the poem is How Do I Love Thee? You can find here that is a question. The poet starts the poem with a question. How do I love thee? She makes the question to herself. So it is written by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Here is a picture of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. You can find here Elizabeth Barrett Browning's picture. It is, and here is the picture of Elizabeth Barrett Browning and her husband Robert Browning. Robert Browning is also a famous Victorian poet, a very much influential Victorian poet, Robert Browning, and they are the couple. Here you can find that some information about Elizabeth Barrett Browning. You can find here Elizabeth Barrett Browning was an English poet of the Victorian era. She was in Victorian era. Popular in Britain, she was very much popular in Britain and the United States during her lifetime. She is the wife of another notable Victorian poet, Robert Browning. It was a love marriage between them. They fall in love. Robert Browning fall in love with Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and Elizabeth Barrett Browning also fall in love with Robert Browning at her matured age. At the age of 31, they marry one another. So that is why it was a love marriage between them. So in this sonnet, we find the speaker. The speaker means Elizabeth Barrett Browning is the speaker. The speaker shows the intensity of love of her beloved husband. So Elizabeth Barrett Browning, 44 sonnets, love sonnet on the love affairs between them, and this sonnet is number maybe 34, maybe 34. So, dear students, at first I would like to discuss with you, before going to the poem, I would like to discuss with you what is love. So, as the title of the poem is, How Do I Love Thee? So, the key word is love. What is love? What do you mean by love? So, you can define love in any way. Any people can define love in any way. So, I would like to discuss with here love on the according to the Oxford Dictionary. According to the Oxford Dictionary, love is an intense feeling of romantic attachment based on an attraction felt by one person for another, whatever it is. So, what is love? Love is a matter of passion, intense feeling. Whenever anyone feels something intensely in his mind, whenever any people feel something intensely, excessively in his mind for anything, then it is called love. It's a matter of feeling. Love is totally a matter of feelings. Whenever anyone feels something extensively, then it may be called he's in love. This love may be any human being or any creature. So in this poem, we find that the poet herself, the speaker or the poet herself, is in deep love with her husband, Robert Browning, and that is why she writes this sonnet counting how much deeply she loved her husband. So here you find the definition of love according to Oxford Dictionary. The love is an intense feeling. Love is an intense feeling, excessive feeling of romantic attachment based on an attraction, and these feelings, this attachment is based on attraction felt by one person for another. And there is another idea here that love encompasses a range of strong and positive emotional and mental states. Positive emotional and mental states is called love here. And most commonly, we can say that love refers to a feeling of a strong attraction and emotional attachment. Same talkings here, same ideas here. So, dear students, you know what is love? Love is a matter of feeling. Whenever anyone feels intensely something, this is called love. So, in this poem, "How Do I Love Thee?" we find that the poet or the speaker are very much attracted, are very much passionate for her husband, and whenever we will read the poem, we can understand, we will understand how deeply the speaker or the poet loves her husband. So, as it is the sonnet, as the poem is a sonnet, you know, how do I love this is a sonnet. And before going to the poem, I'd like to discuss briefly what is sonnet and what are the features of sonnet. So, you know, whenever we delivered the lecture, sonnet 18, at that time we serve you some idea of sonnet about a special idea, some ideas on sonnet. So now I'd like to discuss something about sonnet here. Here you can find that a sonnet is a type of 14-line poem. A sonnet is a type of 14-line poem. Traditionally, the 14 lines of a sonnet consist of an octave. Octave means or two quatrains making up stanza of 8 lines. That means first 8 line. The first 8 line, you know, sonnet is combined 14 lines. As there is 14 lines, so first 8 line is called octave, and the sestet, that is the last 6 line are called sestet. Sonnets generally use a meter of iambic pentameter. These sonnets are mainly generally written in iambic pentameter lines and follow a set rhyme schemes. And every sonnet, and there are some types of sonnet: Petrarchan sonnet, Italian sonnet, Shakespearean sonnet, Spenserian sonnet. So, in this way, we can find that a sonnet has a rhyme scheme, a special rhyme scheme. Within these general guidelines for what makes a sonnet, there are a wide variety of variations. The sonnet may have a variation. The two most common sonnet variations are the Italian sonnet, also called Petrarchan sonnet, and the English sonnet. It is also called Shakespearean sonnet. The main difference between the Italian and English sonnet is the rhyme scheme they use. You know, there is a difference between rhyme scheme in Italian sonnet and English sonnet, but other parts are the same in English and Italian sonnets. So whatever it is, here some ideas on sonnet is that sonnet is a 14-line poem, and these lines are written in iambic pentameter lines, and it has two parts, octave and sestet. First 8 line is called octave, and the last 6 line is called sestet. And there is a special rhyme scheme in the sonnets. So this is briefed in here. So you can see some additional key details about sonnets, additional ideas. For hundreds of years, the sonnet form was reserved for poems about unrequited love. This is the theme. This is the theme. You know, the main theme of sonnet was love for for thousands of years, for hundreds of years ago. Whenever the poets write sonnet, they based on the love. Mainly, sonnet is written on based on the love, on love. The sonnet, the main theme of the sonnet is love or beauty or anything. This or the things like this. Sonnets have become so popular and are written so many places, and over time, many variations of the sonnet from have developed. Sonnets are sometimes written in groups, where each individual sonnet can stand alone, but are also linked with the others in the group. William Shakespeare also writes group sonnets in groups. Elizabeth Barrett Browning also writes sonnets in groups. So, in though they write sonnets in groups, but every sonnet separately is complete in its ideas or in its thoughts or anything else, whatever it is. So from here you can understand what is sonnet. So here you can find that sonnet is a type of short poem which has 14 line only, and it is divided into two parts: octave and sestet. It is a special rhyme scheme, and the main theme of the sonnet is love, maybe beauty. In other, William Shakespeare writes the themes mainly beauty or love, etc. But in other parts, especially Elizabeth Barrett Browning's main theme of the writings of her sonnet is love. So I'd like to recollect you some features of sonnet. What are the features of sonnet? 49 big pentameters line. Sonnet has for it is a characteristics. It is the most important characteristics of sonnet that sonnet have 49 big pentameter lines, and the lines are divided into 5 feet of two syllables each. Lines are arranged within three quatrains, four-line stanza, and a couplet. Rhyme scheme. The main theme of love or passionate love or beauty, and the sonnet must be lyrical. The sonnet must be lyrical. So these are the features of sonnet. So here, before going to the poem, before discussing the poem, I would like to discuss you some themes. How do I love thee? In the poem "How Do I Love Thee," the poet shows some themes. The most important theme, the main theme actually of this poem is love. In this poem we find the poet gives philosophy about love, he narrates, he expresses her intensity of love for her husband, and she tries to count the ways how deeply she loved, how much she loved her husband. So that is why love is the main theme of this sonnet. So you will read here. So, and another theme, we can find another theme is that identity. Another theme is that identity. So in this poem, we find Robert Browning's wife Elizabeth Barrett Browning finds her identity in love. We find that without love, her identity is vainless, is zero. So no love, no identity of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. So here, the theme identity is closely related with this poem. So this is also a theme, identity. So here you can find that the speaker's identity seems to be defined by her love for her husband. Her love manifests itself physically, spiritually, and morally, essentially in every aspect of her being. As love is every aspect of her being, so her identity are combined, are mingling with the love. So it is also briefed, it is also explained in this poem. So another is spirituality. Spirituality. Robert Elizabeth Barrett Browning is deeply in love with her husband Robert Browning, and spiritually she feels this. That spiritual elements is closely related with religious things, with God, or religious feelings, etc. So in the same way, Elizabeth Barrett Browning spiritually feels her husband, as she feels religious feelings in her mind. In the same way, she also feels her husband in herself, that she deeply loves her husband. So spirituality is also a theme in this poem. But main theme, the only important and main theme of the poem is love. Love is the main theme of this poem. So, dear students, I would like to discuss with you the poem briefly. So here you can find the title "How Do I Love Thee," written by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. So the first line, "How do I love thee? Let me count the ways I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight for the ends of being and ideal grace." What a fantastic line! In the first four line, the students in the first four line, we find that she starts with a question herself. How do I love thee? Let me count. The phrase, the word let me indicates that she makes a question to herself. The how she tries. She wants to count. She wants to count the ways, how much, how deeply she loves her husband. Then she starts counting. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height. A fantastic line. The first line, the very beginning, the first way she expressed here that the way she loves her husband is very deep. She says that I love thee, I love you. That means I love you to the depth and breadth and height. Only depth is not enough in love. In the drama, in the drama Hamlet, in the drama Hamlet, in the drama Othello, in the drama Othello, in Shakespeare's famous drama, in the field of drama, William Shakespeare's drama Othello is very much important. So in that drama, we find uh, Othello's wife is Desdemona. Othello's beloved is Desdemona. So in the drama, heroine is Desdemona, and Othello is the hero. So in that drama, Othello loved Desdemona deeply, very deeply. She loves Desdemona very deeply, but she loves very passionately. In that drama, we find that Othello loved Desdemona very passionately, but there is no depth. There is no depth. There is no height. Othello can never reach in the height, in the high position of love. He only loves passionately, deeply, but there is no height in their love. Desdemona also love Othello very faithfully, but there is no breadth, maybe there is a breadth maybe and height in their love. So to make love complete, to make love perfect, it is must, it is essential, this love must be depth, breadth and height. His love, her love, only not only depth but also breadth. Breadth means worth. The love is not only depth like ocean, it is also breadth. It is also breadth like the two horizon of the world, and it is also height like the sky from top bottom to the from top bottom to the top high in this world. It is height. So the three qualities here is essential to make life perfect. One is depth, another is worth, breadth, and another is height, high. So in this way, the poet in the first line says that I love thee to the depth and breadth and height. Such type of height, this height, what type of height it is? She says that my soul can reach where only soul can reach in imagination, in feelings, only soul can reach when feeling out of sight. This height cannot be reached in by sight, by seeing, by sight. No, it is impossible to reach in that height with sight. It is possible only by soul. So these two lines gives the intensity of her love for her husband, of her love for her husband. How intensely, how deeply, how greatly she loves her husband, that she says, I love thee to the depth, to the breadth, and to the height, and such types of height that no sight, no one can reach her, only her soul can reach of that horizon where their love, where the feelings reach in that height. So for the ends of being an ideal grace, this is also a very much important line. For the ends of being an ideal grace, ideal grace means the endless time, the endless grace of the God, of the Almighty. So in this way, in the first lines, in the first four lines, in the first four stanza, the poet introduced the theme of the sonnet. Introduced the theme at the very beginning. He introduced the theme of the sonnet. What is the theme of the sonnet? He says that she says that love. We find that love is the theme, and she expressed how deeply and she expressed how intensely, how deeply she loved her husband. At the first example, at the first criteria, at the first way, she explains that she loves her husband deeply and breadth and also height, and where her soul can reach only, and it is endless. And then another two lines, another lines are here that I love thee to the level of everyday's most quiet need by sun and candlelight. Dear students, it's a fantastic image and a supreme example of this poem. She says that I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need. Every day, we most quiet need by sun and candlelight. Sun and candlelight means day and night. By day and night, human beings need human if we can sustain our existence in this world, oxygen is essential. Without oxygen, we can live. What our everyday's most quiet need, oxygen, light, wind, oxygen, light, wind, air, water. These are the everyday's quiet need. So without oxygen, human existence is vainless. Human existence is vain. Without oxygen, human existence is vain, totally vain. In the same way, like oxygen, like wine, like water, like air, like this everyday's most quiet need, she loves her husband. That means she tries to explain here that without love, without love of her husband, her life is useless. Her love is vain. Her life is meaningless. There is no value of her life. There is no existence of her life without love of her husband. So in these two lines, she gives the intensity. Total poem. Every line of this poem express the intensity of her love. Dear students, every line of this poem express the intensity of her life, love for her husband. So and then we find so many examples. She expresses how deeply she loves. She says that I love thee freely as men strive for right. As men strive for right. Whenever human beings strive for their right, in that way, in the same way, there is a simile here. In the same way, she loves. In the same freely she loves her husband. And another is that I love thee purely as they turn from praise. Whenever any human beings work not hoping the praise, work without praises. Whenever any human beings works for other, works for other without any praise, without any demands return from them, without any praise return from them, and it is called pure. If you do something for other, and if you never expect praises, expect return something, then it is called pure. It is purely done for him. So in this way, she tries to explain that without any returning, she loves her husband purely. Really, purely she loves her husband. No demand of return, no demand of praise. She only loves. Purely she loves her husband. So then these lines very nicely express the intensity of her love for her husband. So the students, here are some lines. Here, the last six line in octave. In this eighth line, we find the theme, introduce the theme and explain the theme. And then in the last sixth line, the poet says, I love thee with the passion put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood faith. This is the finest example. I love thee with the passion put to use in my old griefs, old disease. In real life, Elizabeth Barrett Browning was sick. No one can, no one can, for no one can forgive his griefs, the sorrow from his life. And with my childhood faith, the childhood faith, human beings has a great influence. Childhood faith has a great influence on human beings. So she expresses here that her passion of love to her husband, like the passion of human beings of her childhood faith. So here he gives another finest line. I love thee with a love I seem to lose with my lost saints, with my lost saints. The word saints. Here the word saints gives a religious flavor in this line. A religious flavor in this line. Lost saints means lost religious faith. You know, in childhood period, whenever human beings has a soft heart, at that time, whenever human beings has a soft heart, at that time they feels a soft, a touch, a connection, heavenly, divinely connection, a divinely, a heavenly connection. They feels in their soul. Every children in this world, every children in this world, in his childhood period, feels a divine connection in himself, and divine connection in himself. And here the poet expressed that at the same way what he felt at a childhood about religion. Now they lost that feelings, but she loved her husband at that feeling that was in her childhood. And that another, she expressed here that I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. What a fantastic line here, my friends, my dear students. What a fantastic line here. You can see here that she expressed here, I love thee with the breath, with the smiles, tears of all my life. You know, here that the true lover never rejects her beloved. True lover never rejects her beloved in the time of tears, in the time of sorrows, in the time of sufferings, in the time of every odd situation in human life. So here she expresses that I love thee with the breath, with the breath. She is very much she is essential like the breath. With the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. Smiles. She loves her husband at smiles, at good days, at good days. She also loves her husband at tears, at bad days, sorrowful days of all my life. She here tries to express that she loves her husband. The love to her husband is like the breath, smiles, tears. In the same way, smiles, tears, breath are very common to the face of human beings, to the life of human beings. In the same way, these are the essential elements. These are the essential elements of human nature, human beings. So in the same way, in the same way, her love also essentially, she also feels the essentiality existence of love in herself about her husband. So and the last line, and if God choose, if God choose, I shall but love thee better after life. What a fantastic finishing. You know, the last line in the sonnet, last two lines or last line, gives the conclusion, concluding ideas. Here the line gives the concluding ideas. So the poet here, in the first eight line, you can find that in the first eight line, and in the last six line, also last four lines, gives, she shows the ways how much deeply she loves, how many ways deeply she loved to her husband. And finally she expressed that, finally she explains that, finally she write the last sentence that it is quite impossible for him, it is quite impossible for her, it is quite impossible for her to love perfectly in this world, in this world, in this world. This love may not be fulfilled in this world. Here the students, we find here that how deeply she loved her husband. She here gives some examples of that everyday's most quiet needs, everyday's most quiet needs, and like religious faith and like very essential things of life. She loves her husband, but finally she says that no, it is not, it is not the satisfactory way, it is not the satisfactory way. Still now it is quite impossible for me to love perfectly my beloved in this world. So she prays to God. Here she gives a conclusion that she prays to God. If God choose, if God choose, that means if God agrees, if God choose her and her beloved, then in the this world, after this world, after this world, in the next world, after death, I shall but love thee better after death. So better, better, the word better is very much important here. So in this world, it is not possible for her to make a perfect love to her husband. She believes, she thinks, if God choose, if God agrees, then I will love thee better, better from this life to that life. I will love thee better after that life. That means after death. That means she believed that after death they will be same, they will be in the same way, they will be in love position, they will go to heaven by the grace of God Almighty, and then they love better for her husband in the heavenly area, in the heaven. So this idea gives a religious flavor, a religious flavor in this poem. So in this way, Elizabeth Barrett Browning express her love for her husband. So here you can find here. So the students already I have mentioned two question in the first section. In the first section in the slide, in the first section already I have mentioned that you will be able to give the answer what is sonnet and show how do I love thee is a sonnet. This is the broad questions. And another question is that comment on the intensity of passion expressed in the poem. So I'd like to discuss with you the how you will be able to prepare the answer of these types of question. How you can try to make answer of these types of question. So, dear students, at first I'd like to discuss with you, listen to me, very carefully listen to me. At first I'd like to discuss with you how would you like to prepare the answer of this question. The poem is a sonnet. Evaluate, that means what is sonnet? The poem, evaluate the poem is a sonnet. This is the question. And how you can prepare the answer. How you can prepare the answer. So at first you gave some introductory sentences. That at first you say that Elizabeth Barrett Browning is an influential poet of Victorian era. She mainly loves so many sonnet. She mainly writes so many sonnet uh, on love for her husband. And so in this poem, in this sonnet express her feelings about the love of her husband. So we find all the criteria of sonnet in the poem How Do I Love Thee. So I would like to prove the poem How Do I Love Thee as a sonnet here. So in this way you can give introductory sentences and then you will give the definition of sonnet. What is sonnet? So you can say that sonnet is a 14 iambic pentameter lines. It has two parts, octave and sestet. There are so many types of sonnet: Petrarchan sonnet, Petrarchan or Italian sonnet, English or Shakespearean sonnet, the Spenserian sonnet. In this way, so you can give the rhyme scheme style, rhyme scheme pattern. You can take the help from the book. So in this way you will write in your own way this stanza. So first stanza you will give introductory sentence, and second stanza you will give the definition of sonnet, and after this stanza you will write that so I would like to prove the poem as a sonnet, and how do I love thee is complete, is a perfect sonnet. So at first you will mention about the theme. You will say that we know love is the theme of the sonnet. So love is the theme of the sonnet. In the same way, we find How Do I Love Thee is a poem where we find the main theme is love. In this way, and after this sentence, we will explain how the poet loved her husband. So you will enlarge, you will explain broadly, you will explain the stanza broadly, and then you will give the foot meter, that means iambic pentameter, unstressed and stress. There are 5 meter every line. You will say that you can explain the foot meter. We know sonnet has iambic pentameter lines. Every sonnet has iambic pentameter lines. That means every lines have 5 foot, and every foot is iambic. First one is unstressed, second one is stress. So in this way we find in this poem the poem is also written in iambic pentameter lines, and every lines have 5 foot and unstressed and stress. And then you give some example of 2 lines. First 2 lines you give an example. So then you will say rhyme scheme. You can say that there is rhyme scheme ABBA, ABBA, CD, CD, CD. It is a rhyme scheme following by Petrarchan style, Italian style. And then you will explain lyrical. You will say that lyrical is an lyricism, or lyric is an important quality of sonnet we find in this poem. The poem is also lyrical, as its rhyme scheme produces the lyrical sense in this poem. So in this way you can explain, you can write answer in your own, then you will give the concluding sentence. You can say that thus in conclusion we can say that the sonnet fulfills all the criteria. The poem How Do I Love Thee fulfills all the criteria of a perfect sonnet. So it is a perfect sonnet by composed by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. So in this way you can compose the answer of this question. So dear students, another question is that another important question here. Intensity of passion. Here students, this the answer of this question is very easy. Only you explain the poems. Okay, answer will read it. So in first you will give some introductory sentence. You will say that intensity of love. You will say that How Do I Love Thee is the finest example of love poem. It is written by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. In this poem we find that Elizabeth Barrett Browning expresses her intensity of passion of love for her husband. So now I would like to discuss how the poet shows her intensity of love, intensity of passion for the love of her husband. So then at first you will say personal passion. So at the very beginning stanza you can say that the passion in this poem we find this is it's a here we find the personal passion of the writer. It is not general, it's a personal passion of the writer. Here we find the poet's note her personal passion for her own husband Robert Browning. uh, and then you will explain deep love where only soul can reach. And here you can quote first two lines or first four lines, that she loves deeply, and her love you can use as a quote the first four lines, that I love thee to the depth, breadth, and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight. You can use the two line as a quote of this stanza. You can quote and you can explain the line. Another way, love is essential, like the daily commodities of life, daily essentialities of life. And in this stanza, for this stanza, you will use the two lines as a quote, as a quotation. I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need by sun and candlelight. So in this way, by quoting lines and then you explain the lines. So love is essential. Love is essential. Her love is passionate because she expressed that her love is essential for her life, like the essential equipments of life in our everyday's life. So pure love, then you will explain that her love is very pure. Her love is very pure because she never expects return, expects praise. She only loves. So her love is very much pure. So these words express that her love and the intensity of her love. And then passion behind with religious faith, blended with religious faith.